viewers, you are watching our weekly program Invest in Ethiopia on OBN Horn of Africa. Today we are going to discuss about the Oromia Industrial Parks Development Corporation and investment opportunities in Ethiopia. Today I joined by CEO of the Oromia Industrial Parks Development Corporation, Sanait Mabre. Thank you for joining us. First, what's the aim of establishing the Oromia Industrial Park Corporation? Let we begin with discussing.
First, thank you so much for giving us this chance to maybe begin with the aim of establishing those industrial parks across Oromia. Is so maybe significant in terms of transforming agricultural sector from the bottom, and even it could maybe contribute to the growth of economic development. Not only this one, even creating job opportunities, having effect on even export and even on again import substitution. Anyways, so we can explain the significances of establishing those industrial parks in details later on, but to tell you just shortly, Oromia Industrial Park is as a government corporation which dedicated to develop different world-class industries or industrial parks and attracting investors, potential investors from even the local community and as well as the international sphere. So this is in short the aim of establishing Oromia Industrial Parks, just to contribute to the economic development of the country or the region, we can say that.
Well, how many parks are being governed by your corporation and how many of them are operational right now?
Good. Concerning the operationality of the industrial parks and maybe the number of the parks, currently we are operating only 2 industrial parks, which called Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industrial Park and Neqamt Integrated Agro-Industrial Park. From these 2 industrial parks, but currently we are making functional the Bulbula one. That means the Bulbula Industrial Park is, as many of maybe the community or the people knows, is the industry park which constructed before 3-4 years. So currently that park is going to be operational, but the Neqamt Integrated Agro-Industrial Park is under construction. When we say these industrial parks, by the way, they are not all industrial parks which bounded with certain lands. Rather, it has other additional infrastructures or facilities which may be linked to these industrial parks. That means, for instance, under Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industrial Parks, we have 6 different RTCs. RTCs means Rural Transformation Centers. Those RTCs by themselves is built in the standard of industry park. Even we can call them mini industrial parks. So when we say Bulbula Industrial Park is one park, yes, it's one park basically, but even the RTCs around that one park has another significance, and we can say it is more than one park. So in short, we are currently making operational only one park, but the Neqamt Integrated Agro-Industrial Park is under construction, as I already mentioned earlier. But concerning the Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industrial Park operationality, because your second question is how much this park is operational. Concerning this question, we can say that 30% of the leasable land inside the park is already occupied by the investors, by the local investors. But only 2 industries are very active currently. That means one of the industry or one of the investor is doing on start job, or we can say that trial production. The second one is on the construction of sheds, and currently he's implanting his machineries to process oil. So these 2 industries are basically in maybe right now they're maybe in a way of operation, but we can say that 30% of the leasable land is occupied already. So this is a promising, maybe, to make it fully operational, especially in the coming Ethiopian New Year.
You mentioned that you have constructed different facilities in industrial parks. What facilities are there? Can you mention them?
By the way, the facilities inside the industrial parks is a world-class facilities. We can say that. We can confidently mention that. For instance, as many of the industries already requests, we have the well-standard and well-built wastewater treatment plant. That's maybe if you go through different industries inside Oromia or Ethiopia or maybe elsewhere in Africa, you can't even sometimes find the proper wastewater treatment plant. But inside Bulbul Integrated Agro-Industrial Park, or maybe the coming industrial park in Nagamte, going to have well-established and appropriate wastewater treatment plant. That is, maybe even we invest huge amount of money on that, because it is necessary, it is important to make the park sustainable, to protect the environment in a well manner. So we have such kind of facilities. In addition, we have even police stations, clinics, daycares, and the other important facility inside the industrial park, and has to be, is having one-stop shop services. These one-stop shop services, or commonly called OSS, has its own, important facilities. For instance, customs, banks, investment commissions, and the like, the important institutions which may be designed to give enough services to investors are inside the park. So we have this kind of facilities. In addition, we have training centers, even housing. We have 248 different residential homes inside the park, which dedicated to give services for the managers or managerial and related positions of the industries or the investors who came inside to the park. So in short, these are the facilities which constructed by the park. Is as already mentioned, is a world standard facilities, with even including having standard roads, common facilities like roads, electricities, waters, and the like. Because the park, when we say park, the necessities, one is utilities like electricity, water, and wastewater treatment. So this park encompasses all these important facilities.
You have also mentioned your corporation has been constructing rural transformation centers. What's the goal of constructing these rural transformation centers, and what is its role in transforming these industrial parks?
Nice. By the way, one different modalities which constructed by this OIPDC, Oromia Industrial Parks Development Corporation, but not well known before, was RTCs, Rural Transformation Centers. The role of constructing these RTCs is one is to link the agricultural input to the industries. The main goal, the main objective is to facilitate the way inputs of the industries or raw materials which are going to be processed inside the park is maybe in a good manner, in a good safety. Not only this, as I've said it, there is one concept inside, especially integrated agro-industry park. That concept is value chain. Value chain matters, by the way. In order to secure investors, in order to secure food quality, in order to secure, the flow of inputs in an appropriate manner, timely, in a quality, in maybe a good transportation, logistic, something like that. The important thing is value chain. So these are TCs dedicated to give these services. That service is linking the farmer, linking the cooperatives with the parks. Linking means these are the facilities which are going to give services for cooperatives and even farmers and potential investors to buy, to store, to sort, to grade, and to pack those raw materials and supply it to the industries. That means the name of these RTCs, or the purpose of these RTCs is, or are, we can say that it's dedicated for semi-processing. We say semi-processing, or sometimes we can call them primary processing centers. So primary processing centers or semi-processing centers means it's a place where those agricultural products or produces accommodate or aggregated, collected together, then sorted, then graded, then packed or cleaned and packed and supplied to the industries. So the role of those RTCs are not, that much, we can't mention it, it's insignificant. Rather, it's very significant. It's very, it's a kind of even requirement to have a well, maybe built industrial park. So having industrial parks by itself is not enough unless you don't, do things properly on those RTCs as their purpose. So the purpose of those RTCs are, as I mentioned it earlier.
As you know, our country has been importing value-added, especially food items from abroad, and spending a huge amount of money on it. What would Bulbul Agro Industrial Park would play in substituting these imported items in the future?
But the name by itself said that integrated agro-industrial parks. What does it mean that? Is to mean that those industrial parks are the parks which dedicated to process food-related issues, food-related things. That means, look, yes, as you mentioned, our country, spent $1 billion to import food-related materials or food-related things, like juices, like you can say chocolates, or you can say chipses, and the like. You can say pasta, macaroni, anything which related to food. We know the crisis going on having oil or buying oil. Even we know the inflation rate on oil, because oil is most of, maybe we can say the high percentage of oil is imported from outside. So these parks are going to process such kind of foods. So once we added value to those agricultural products, it's easy to substitute what imported from outside. As you said, the thing that everybody knows is, in our country, there are huge potential, large potential, especially on agricultural commodities. Go through anything. We can mention the cereals, we can mention the fruit and vegetables, we can mention like coffees and the likes. One thing, we produce coffee very much, but we imported it without value addition. One thing is this one. So currently we are, thinking of adding the values on that coffee, processing it here, making it what others want, what the market wants, and export it to outside market. So in this manner, as a country, as a region, we are going to feature, we are going to have, the fruits of value addition. We are going to have what maybe those exporters earn to our country. That means the dollar, the currency. In the other way, as you already said, we are importing. We have the products, we have the potential of the products, agricultural products, but we are, importing, spending many $1 million. So if we do the other side means if we process those, agricultural commodities, if we added the values, finally we will we will maybe substitute the imported materials, and we will export it, and we can earn dollars from that. So these all things have a good meaning on the economy of the country.
Another issue is job creation, technology transfer, and generating hard currency are among industrial parks are expected to activity work on. How are industrial parks performing on these issues so far?
Okay, as I already mentioned it on the mission and the objectives of establishing those industrial parks, maybe among the significances or among the objectives of establishing those industrial parks was one is creating job opportunity. So in this regard, as already mentioned, unfortunately we are not that much creating jobs. We know that since the parks are not that much functional currently, but maybe we hope within this Ethiopian New Year's, hope those aims will be maybe successful. That means we will create maybe more jobs on those industrial parks, because creation of job is yes one thing, but creation of job inside the industrial parks or around the industrial parks means it's mainly which related to the operationality of the parks, because once those industrial parks are operational, these things will come through, because one thing is we will create job. When we say we will create job, we will create job on maybe the industries which are functional inside the park, one. Two, for the farmers who produces those agricultural products and give it to the industrial parks. Three, across the industrial parks there will be different processes or activities. Like for instance, there is transportation facilities. There will be transportation facilities. So there are individuals who get job on different logistics, loading and unloading, and the like. Maybe there are still individuals who rent their homes and the like. So when we say job opportunities, we are not talking about only the direct jobs which are going to be created inside the park, but this park will have the spillover effects. So among the spillover effects is the things that currently I'm mentioning. So yes, this industry park will create many jobs, which close to maybe 10,000. But these all jobs will not be created inside the park, but around the park. So adding all these things or bringing these things together, the park will create many jobs, and finally the industrialists, that means the investors, the farmers, the users and women around the park, and even beyond the park, which will involve inside in the market. This across the value chain on transportation and on other services will benefit from the operationality of the park. So the very important thing is making those parks operational as per the schedule, as per the program. So we are doing to realize that thing.
And what about technology transfer? Because it is very important, especially in running the industrial parks by own. What is your plan in this regard?
Yes, it's industry, it's obvious. So each and every industries might be vary on volume, might be vary on number, might be vary on the types of the technology which they are going to maybe transfer. But the undeniable fact is those industries bring many technologies, many new technologies. For instance, inside the park, as already mentioned, it's a food industry park, so things which related to food processing is going to be processed and going to be activated around that park and inside the park. So these things will bring new technologies. For instance, we have oil processing companies who already registered to join the park. We have meat processing companies, we have coffee processing companies, we have industries or plants which proposed to process from cereals like wheat, for instance, pasta, macaroni, biscuit, and like. So all these industries are different in their types. So they are going to, bring new technologies to the market, new technologies to the region and to the country. So not only bringing and processing the industries, rather maybe it could be a center for training. That means, as we know, in our country, as Ethiopia in general, we have more than 40 universities, 40. So we have a graduate in different disciplines, including engineering and different types of engineering and other, courses and disciplines. All those students will get a place where they train themselves. So this is even another contribution to the country or to the region. So yes, definitely.
Okay. There are also many big industrial parks across the nation. Do you have a platform where you share best experiences?
Honestly speaking, we don't have that much, one and same platforms, which bring all the industries together and share their experiences, their success stories and the like. But one fact is, if we want to make experiences, to get experiences from them, the door is open. We can go to the federal parks, we can go to the regional parks, just like our parks, integrated agro-industrial parks. They are already in Sidama and Bure, Amhara region. So if we, maybe if one wants to get experiences and learn from the success stories, the challenges of the industries, or the industrial parks in the region and established in the federal level, the door is open. There is the opportunity, no problem on that regard, but we can say there is one and same platform which facilitates such kind of maybe experience sharing in a regular manner, we can say that.
There is also the Oromia Investment and Industry Bureau. How you are closely working to facilitate and attract both domestic and foreign investors to the park?
Yeah, concerning the Oromia Industry and Investment Bureau linkage, we have, by the way, working collaboratively in a good manner, because there is one thing in industrial parks. That thing is, we have a steering committee in a region level, and inside or maybe below those steering committees. Actually, when we say steering committee, there is a steering committee at the federal level and at the regional level. So when I already maybe when I say something about the regional level steering committee, below the steering committee of the region, we have task forces. So inside those task forces, for instance, Oromia Investment and Industry Bureau is a leader of one task force, which called Investment Promotion Task Force. So that means Oromia Investment and Industry Bureau as a bureau is the institution which is responsible to promote the investment opportunities and build facilities inside the park, and they are doing their best in this manner in attracting investors, especially domestic investors. As you know, attracting foreign investors is actually a responsibility of EIC, Ethiopia Investment Commission, at the federal, but the regional investment, promotion agency, which called Oromia Investment and Industry Bureau as a bureau, is doing its best on this regard.
Okay, what is your plan in expanding the industrial parks across the region? Because Oromia is vast, and every zone needs these industrial parks. What is your future plan in this regard?
One important thing to mention it here is, yes, we have a plan to expand these kind of industrial parks across different zones of Oromia. But the very important thing is, at the top of this, is making the existing industrial park is very important. So once this existing industrial park is being functional and bring what expected from it, it's very easy to expand to those to other regions or to other maybe zones in the world. Because look, we have studies which says across Oromia there are agricultural products actually. It could be maybe vary. For instance, if you go to Borana, as we know, the high potential of cattle and related things is very high there. If you go to maybe other maybe zones, Ilubabo or Hararge, you may find another potentials, especially regarding agricultural commodities and related things, agricultural matters. So that's why we have already a study which indicated the maybe specific potential of different regions across Oromia. So we have a plan in the future to expand, looking into their specific potentials. But the very important thing currently for OIPDC, or my institution, Oromia Industrial Parks and Development Corporation, is making the already existed facilities active, making the already existed industrial parks functional. Once we do that, once we maybe get success on that, it's obvious we will expand it.
What's expected from especially Ethiopian diaspora living abroad in promoting such industrial parks to attract more investors to the industrial parks? What is expected from them?
We expect many things from diaspora, from even the Ethiopians who's living in Ethiopia. We're expecting that the first one is they have to join the industrial park one. Again, as you already said, yes, they have the responsibility to promote such a kind of facilities to the maybe interested investors with a potential to invest. This means, look, these facilities are the country's facility. It is established by the country's effort, the region's effort, and the contribution is even from the people. So finally it will benefit the large public, not only the peoples around the park. So this industry is the industry which has many meanings in terms of economy, in terms of politics, and in terms of maybe other social welfare. So the diaspora abroad and even individuals who are living inside the country has the responsibility to promote his best, maybe in every stage. But the country, the region has such kind of well-standard facilities and opportunities, investment opportunities, so they have to promote it. Even they have to join by themselves. They have to work closely with us in order to promote, in order to maybe even joining the parks and having lands and shares, and doing their best on even constructing their own shares and making these parks functional. Because at the end, the thing which expected from us and from many of the citizens is making these parks functional, realizing the objectives of the park.
Okay, finally, if you have any concluding message, you can deliver.
Any interested individuals, especially investors, both domestic and foreign investors, can join our parks, can use our facilities and infrastructures, and finally they will benefit from it, and they can benefit the large public. So benefiting by themselves and benefiting others is a thing which we are, want to promote. And please join us, please join the work and support us, support the region and support the economic transformation of the region as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and deep insight on our program. Dear our viewers, that's all what we have for today. Till the next session, have a good time.